Okay, continue.
Hi, everyone. We're just going to give a few minutes to let all the participants join, and then we'll start in just a minute. All right, I think folks are still trickling in, but we can go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. This live webinar will be showcasing how medical nonprofit Harbor Path improved their patent tracking system with the help of Zendesk and our partner BrainSell by providing greater insight into important patient health trends. Through this session, we're hoping to highlight how Harbor Path turned their fragmented data into insightful reporting, no statistics degree required, how they improved their customer experience with data-driven insights, and how they quickly identified problem areas or potential opportunities within their CX operations. My name is Lisa, and I'm a senior marketing manager here at Zendesk, and I'm really excited to be moderating today's panel. If you didn't know, Zendesk is a complete sales and support solution provider that's easy to use and scales with your business. Zendesk not only makes it easier on your customers, but sets your team up for success and keeps your business in sync. Here is a quick run through of our agenda today. The welcomes, we're going to have a quick introduction from Sonia from BrainSell and Ken from Harbor Path. And then go right into our panel discussion and Q&A. If you have questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to add them in the chat, and we'll try our best to get to all of them by the end of the presentation. And with that, I'd love to introduce Sonia from BrainSell. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Ken.
Hey, Sonia. Hello, Lisa.
Hi. Sonia, why don't you tell us a little bit about BrainSell and your mission and a little bit more about yourself?
Great. Yeah, absolutely. So BrainSell is a growth enablement company. We help companies all over North America grow with people, process, and technology. We're partnered really closely with Zendesk. It's one of the solutions that we love to implement to support customers' growth strategies. And we work closely with Ken's team to help them implement Zendesk at Harbor Path.
Awesome, thank you. And Ken, why don't you tell us a little bit about Harbor Path and what you guys are up to?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. So Harbor Path is a North Carolina-based nonprofit based here in Charlotte, and we provide a single portal application for uninsured patients seeking patient assistance drugs for a multitude of needs, from infectious disease drugs to medications for cystic fibrosis. And both BrainSell and Zendesk have become a great partner for us as we develop a tracking system to allow us to really start to capture that patient data.
That is truly amazing what you guys are doing. So I'm really excited to just jump right into this panel. We have a lot to cover, so we'll just start with question number one, and this is for you, Ken. What led you to working with both Zendesk and BrainSell, and how are you working with them today?
So, we were actually, we were introduced to BrainSell at the advice of a consultant we were working with. We didn't know what was in the market in terms of ticketing platforms. And we saw our business evolving, but really didn't have the capacity or capabilities with the current system we were using to track that. And so through our consultant led us to BrainSell and working with Sonia and her team with the launch of Zendesk.
That's fantastic. And how has your use of Zendesk evolved over time?
You know, we started gathering new data, and our system just wasn't set up to do that. And so when we decided to go with Zendesk, it allowed us to really start to look at options that we didn't have before. And so with the capabilities that we have now, we use Explore and Support, and it really allows us to have that agile reporting to capture data that, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but the 8 years we've been in business, we just didn't have the capacity or capabilities to do that.
Yeah. What were you using before Zendesk, and what were those pain points?
Yeah, well, it was a homegrown system that I won't get into the weeds about, but I can tell you, in terms of what we're looking for and pain points, it was pretty challenging. We just couldn't track data. And from a donor perspective, in terms of healthcare providers asking us for information, we just couldn't go back and track the critical patient information that we needed to learn and to be able to provide back to donors.
That's great. So Zendesk helped kind of streamline that process for you guys a little bit. What was everyone's thinking behind what was going on with Zendesk and BrainSell? Was there a lot of support behind it? Were people easily able to get on board with it?
We were, my team here at Harbor Path, particularly, we've hired a full-time person whose 90% of his job is to drive platform for us. It really was, again, allowing us to really understand the critical patient needs and be able to capture that information, because a ticketing system for us was just becoming more obvious. And we had one particular donor that had asked that we provide data on the under and uninsured patient base, and we just didn't have those capabilities. So again, we've been able to take what Zendesk allows us to do and really showcase, I think, in an effective way, the impact that Harbor Path makes in patients' lives.
It's great to hear like actual real life use cases of this. Do you have any other examples where Zendesk has proved particularly helpful, or any other specific stories that come to mind?
Yeah, we've one thing that we've done is we've gotten into the naloxone business for patients or individuals facing the opioid crisis, and we now distribute naloxone across the country. And the platform now allows us to really capture that information. And you're dealing with reversals, meaning patients whose lives have been reversed as a result of naloxone. And we're able to track that in the system, where, again, prior to Zendesk, we didn't have those capabilities.
That's fantastic. And can you tell us about your use of BrainSell and how that may have changed over time?
Lisa, I think we started out with one platform, and it's just as we got deeper into the weeds of it and saw what its capabilities were, my team here, and Sonia's team worked hand in hand to really do a deep dive and understand what our needs were, and where we thought where we began and where we've ended up now has really expanded. Zendesk provides a multitude of resources that when we initially got into this, we didn't realize the platform had the capabilities that it does. And with Sonia and her team, we were really able to explore, no pun intended, to the weeds and really see what those capabilities were through Zendesk.
That's awesome. And if we pivot a little bit, I have a question for you, Sonia. Can you tell us about your approach that you took to create the features that Harbor Path needed in their solution?
Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. We really start from the end. So understanding what's the purpose here? What are we trying to accomplish from a big picture? What's the big ask that we're trying to solve for, and the goal that's going to move Ken's initiative forward and grow it, right? Again, that growth enablement, everything comes down to answering that question and providing real value to the organization. So, it's a wonderful story, right? That all these people are calling Harbor Path for assistance, and they may not have a program in place to provide complementary medicine services to them. So it was really it was a passion point for us actually to hear, oh wow, we're going to be capturing data to provide more assistance for people. And again, starting from the end. So how are we going to be serving up that data to Ken and his donors to extend Harbor Path's mission? So everything relies on that data. And then we back into, the day-to-day use. So working with his end users, his team that's answering phone calls and making sure that all the fields are in there. But really at the end of the day, it's really about what's the deliverable and what are the key metrics that we're trying to use to drive Harbor Path forward.
Yeah. And I mean, it feels great that we're both of our companies are supporting this awesome company with this like great mission statement. So it's almost like we have a little hand in it too.
Yeah.
And
Ken, you have a big hand in it.
Yeah. You shared an anecdote earlier about, how Zendesk has kind of helped. Do you have one that maybe you can share about how BrainSell made a difference?
Well, I think Sonia and her team took this on and took it. We're very passionate about making sure that we were provided the right support we needed when we launched the program. And it was more than just a job, obviously, because we were working, crazy hours to launch the program, and we had a deadline that we were trying to live up to, and from an individual donor. And I think Sonia and her team really quickly got our mission and the value add of what we do, and they felt the same passion that drives my organization here in terms of providing that support.
That's great. And how is your team, measuring success today? Like could you share specific KPIs that you use just to see, we've heard kind of throughout this panel that there's been a lot of data that you can see now that you haven't been able to see before. Could you maybe share like those specifics?
Yeah, well, we're still learning as we go, and Sonia and I still talk frequently, even though we're almost a year into this. Metrics are showing that we're successful in treating patients and keeping them compliant on their meds. One thing that we know here at Harbor Path is that we do one thing really, really well, and that is effectively put a pill in a patient's hand. Mm-hmm. As we were able to track and ticket the information from patients, we quickly learned that the patient's needs were far beyond what scope of service that we could provide. But from what we hear every day from the patient population that we serve throughout the U.S., the critical nature of our business and the impact we've made in their lives keeps them healthy. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we're here to do. And they being the patients are extremely, extremely appreciative. And for us, with a growing Hispanic population, one thing that we've learned is that, through this, that, a lot of the folks that call us are not bilingual. And, we're trying to track that in the system to report back to donors, to report back to healthcare professionals, other funders that, we've got a large segment of the population out there that are not bilingual and really can't communicate what their healthcare needs are. And this is the data that we're able to show and demonstrate. Yeah. Number of patients out there that still need access to care.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you guys are like the step one, you're gathering this information and then you're communicating it back to the rest of your company. Have you seen an improvement in communication between departments since rolling out Zendesk and BrainSell?
Lisa, we have, we share all this data internally within the organization. Yeah. I get a copy of every ticket that's processed through our system. It may be 3 or 4 days for I have a chance to go through all of them, but I think as a whole, this system has really worked for us. And those, I don't think Zendesk was set up as a healthcare platform. I think we've been able in a good way to manipulate its use
That's great.
to do what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, like sharing like your anecdotal feedback about how you've been able to kind of capture that information. I'd love to like slightly pivot. And, you know, here at Zendesk, we're a bunch of number nerds. So we love to hear numbers. I think that helps to kind of tell the story. Do you have any measurements for, you know, cost savings or increased efficiencies or, you know, increased customer retention, any type of KPIs or metrics around that you'd like to share?
Well, you know, through Zendesk, we've hired two new patients to support our program as a result of Zendesk. Zendesk gave me the ability to show a donor, you know, a high volume of calls the information that we weren't prior to Zendesk tracking. And once we onboarded the system, I could take it to that donor and say, okay, now you've got the data that shows you, you know, we've helped 3,000 patients in the last 30 days relative to medication needs. You know, you've asked me what our staffing needs were. Now I can demonstrate what they are as a result of what we're capturing the system. So, you know, that in itself has probably more than paid for the system in terms of my perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you also tracking like your, you know, patient satisfaction? I feel like anyone who is coming to Harbor Path, if they're getting in contact with you guys are obviously offering a valuable resource, so they're going to end happy. But is there any type of metrics around that?
You know, Lisa, not yet. I wish I could tell you yes. You know, but we're still relatively new in this. You know, we are adding a couple new companies as our program is growing pretty rapidly. And I think as our company support grows, that will also grow along with it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. It's great to see like the next iteration of your customer experience processes. So let's pivot just a little bit over to you, Sonia. I'd love to know, you know, we've worked with you on many joint accounts. Can you tell me about how you measure success from a partner perspective?
Yes, not just if someone renews, but I think the satisfaction level, obviously, but also the metrics. Again, it's going back to the numbers.
Always comes back to the numbers.
It always comes back to the numbers. We didn't know, Ken, when we started this project that the need for a bilingual resource would be surfaced in the data. Like, you know, just the fact that, you know, Ken and his team are getting more measurable results to advance their business, that is success to us, right? That he and his team have found a payback in the system has proven that the system was a good investment, and that makes us feel great. And then, you know, I thought when Ken and his team came to us initially, they weren't completely set on the Zendesk stack. You know, they had an idea that maybe it was a good tool for them. And we definitely took the time to understand, you know, what your needs are today and what you think they're going to be in 2-3 years. And, you know, I agreed strongly with Ken that it was definitely a good stack solution. And I think that's already proven itself out. Because, you know, Ken, at one point, if you had an on the ground sales team doing outreach, Ken knows about Sell, right? Yeah. So just be plugged right in to extend the solution. We've talked about integrating, you know, point solutions. So there's a lot of kind of growth and just in the project and the vision, and that to us is success.
Awesome. And, you know, we're wrapping near the end of all of our panel questions, but I think a big one for you, Ken, is how do you see Harbor Path's journey in terms of growth and where you guys are now and where you plan to be? And how do you see Zendesk and Harbor Path kind of fitting into that growth plan?
Yeah, I wish I had that crystal ball, Lisa.
Yeah, don't we all? I mean, if anyone could have predicted COVID last year, yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, you know, a couple of things there. I think, you know, BrainSell has been very responsive to our needs, and ultimately, you know, Zendesk has fit the need that we had. As we look to expand into multiple patient assistance programs, whether it's on our nonprofit side or the commercial side. One of the first things we do is look at, okay, how does Zendesk play into this?
Mhm.
Track the information that the company, the manufacturer, the donor, the funder is going to require. Because as you said, it always goes back to numbers.
Yeah.
And, we live and die by the numbers. And unfortunately, it's the world we live in. COVID's a prime example. I'm looking at the data and the impact it's making across the country. You look at what we do in the drug space that we're in and the strategy that we have to grow. Again, it's allowing us the efficiencies to provide long-term data that I think will be critical for our survival.
Yeah. I mean, and this isn't one of the questions. I'm just so curious. Has COVID like accelerated your plans, unintentionally?
Lisa, we have been impacted if you look at the patient assistance space across the US, patient assistance has been down 40% across manufacturer lines, across all company lines, across all PAP programs, regardless of disease state. And the primary reason was obviously patients weren't going in to see their healthcare provider.
Yeah.
So they were lapsing in therapy. They weren't getting prescriptions renewed. It's had spiraling effects, just like it has in every other aspect of life. I think now that we're seeing the economy opening, we're starting to see our numbers come back as they were, pre-COVID. I think we all know that COVID's not going anywhere. I think we've like everybody, every other business, we've learned to adjust to it.
Yeah.
And make the necessary necessary measures to stay viable. And as we explore other opportunities within Harbor Path, we're always aware of that. And it just makes us, I think overall, strategically, it just makes us a more sound business.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of kind of the future, where are you guys headed next? And where do you have any specifics or hints that you want to share with the audience of where you plan to expand, what areas?
We've since launching Zendesk, we've expanded into the naloxone business, which right now in this country, the opioid crisis has exploded. With the isolation of folks, it's become incredibly challenging, and we're seeing a lot of that, particularly here in the Southeast. But for us, we know what we're good at, and going back to what I said earlier, at effectively putting a pill in a patient's hand, and we're looking at these areas that have a high need, high touch for patient assistance, with a cost of medications that probably are out of most people's pocketbook range, and companies are looking for potential support behind that. So I think you're going to see us evolve more into those areas where drugs are very challenging in terms of cost, and an organization like Harbor Path can help effectively put those pills in a patient's hand. So we have a couple opportunities that we're working on now, and I think in the next 6 to 9 months we'll see that come to fruition.
That's amazing. That's much faster than I thought you were going to say with your timeline, but that's awesome. To our guests who are attending today, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat right now. I have a few more for both Sonia and Ken, just because I'm really curious about a few things. But we'd love to make sure that we're answering all of your questions. So please feel free to engage with us and put your questions in there. While we may wait for those to come in, Sonia, I have a question for you. Were there any integrations that were under consideration during the process of implementing Zendesk?
Yeah, I mean, from the very basics outlook, right? Ken, so you're able to, stream in all the support emails into one channel. And we've talked about chat before, so that's something that's kind of TBD, I know. But other systems of integration, yeah, there's been talk of us kind of integrating to a proprietary portal. So that's not off the table. But the neat thing too is, I think with the advent of Zendesk Sunshine being kind of and I highly encourage people to check it out online, really interesting kind of really rich database layer that sits under all the Zendesk product lines. We're able to really easily make integrations and usher data from outside systems into Zendesk support and other apps. So I can't give too much away, but Ken and I have talked about integrating a, kind of proprietary system. The idea that then his agents would be in one screen in Zendesk and they wouldn't have to go to multiple systems. So, that's something that almost every client, has a use case for. And
yeah,
I've been
nobody
in this space
likes the whole swivel chair, having to look at one screen, go back to
you
another.
can't.
So,
And it's not so scary anymore. Integrating that data is not as hard as it used to be. I've been doing this for 12 years now, and it has gotten massively easier.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking
Consider
of
it.
things getting easier, how flexible is the Zendesk platform, and how has that flexibility helped Harbor Paths, Ken?
Well, to be honest, it took us a little while to wrap our arms around it, as Sonia can attest to. I mean, it's for us, it was fairly sophisticated considering we were using a homegrown system.
Yeah.
But we had the fortitude to hire someone who had a very strong technology background, and he was able to jump into it and has really been able to manipulate it for our purposes extremely effectively. And he loves Zendesk. He sees all kinds of opportunities for us down the road in terms of capabilities and back end data reporting. As he told me this morning, he felt like we were just at the tip of the iceberg. So, I think for us, it's a long-term software strategy for us. What it will look like a year from now, who knows?
Yeah.
But we've been very pleased so far with it.
If we did have a crystal ball, or if you could jump back a few years before you had Zendesk, do you have any advice you would give to either your future self or any other, healthcare companies out there that might be tuning in, of what you would have done differently or what you did really well that made things easier?
Well, I think we thought we could grow it homegrown, and looking back now, I think there are lots of good softwares that are on the shelf that you can purchase, that you can manipulate for your own particular need. We were fortunate to use a consultant we did that brought us to BrainSell, and BrainSell obviously brought us to Zendesk. I think for us, we have stayed true to our mission. We've tried not to be beyond what we do. We've not tried to be beyond, providing multiple levels of service. We do one thing well, and we've kept our head down. And as you said, Lisa, during this time of COVID, I think we're extremely fortunate to have remained as viable and done as well as we have. I think a large part of that is because we remained true to our mission.
That's amazing. Those are all of my questions. I think we answered the one that we got in Q&A. Sonia, anything you want to close out with or let our audience know?
Just talk to us, right? If, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We, when Ken and I started talking, it was up in the air as to what the solution was, but it was really, speaking about his mission and where he wanted to go, that really made it an easy choice. So I just think I encourage everyone, if you're going to it's a big decision, you should be talking to as many people as you can that have a good view of the marketplace.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And Ken, anything you want to close out with? It was fantastic hearing just more about Harbor Path in general, and like what you guys are doing and your amazing contributions to society, honestly. And also sprinkled in hearing how you utilize, Zendesk and BrainPath along the way to kind of help with that. Oh, BrainSell. I'm sorry. I just merged your two names together.
I like it.
BrainPath. That's the new thing.
We have a new initiative, Ken.
Yeah, sure.
I want to thank Ken. Is there right on your site, there's a way to, I'm just wondering, if people can learn more about the Harbor Path mission, go to the website, and there's a spot to donate as well.
Yep. We do have a lot of individual small donors, which makes what we do possible. I think that I would encourage folks to jump on our website, which is harborpath.org. I think it's pretty clear on the services that we provide. I think the investment, and that's the way I had to look at this, the investment, it's a long-term play for us. And as I mentioned or indicated, we're along for this journey together. What it looks like at the end, I don't know, but I do know that it's allowed us to be that much more efficient and really, really grow the patient data that prior to Zendesk, we didn't have the capabilities to do.
That's great. Thank you guys both again for joining me today. I loved speaking with both of you. Again, if anyone has any questions for BrainSell, there is some contact information on the screen right now. You can reach out to Sonia. Once again, Ken, Sonia, thank you both for joining us today. And thank you everyone who attended this live recording. Have a great rest of your day and thank you all. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.